Of course, up until the debate disaster, the White House and the media all insisted Biden was better than ever. Sharpest attack, running rings around staffers 1/3 his age. Rumor had it he even beat Randy Weingarten's record for the deadlift. Yet we could see with our own eyes that it was bull. And the whole time, Woodward knew, and he didn't tell us because he wanted to sell a lousy book. Usually to have journalist standards that low, you have to work here. But imagine what would have happened if Woodward had reported on this 16 months ago. Imagine if the Dems had been forced to rip off the Band-Aid and admit the old man was finished. Maybe the DNC would have found a better candidate altogether. Like this. Or this. Or this. It would have been painful for them, but not nearly as painful as the past 3 months. But remember, not only did Kamala Harris help engineer Biden's removal from the ticket, she still left him in place as part of the cover-up. She didn't introduce the 25th Amendment. So you not only had an unelected awful candidate installed onto the ticket, you had a decrepit, incapable leader allowed to stay and run the most vital country in the world, fraught with tenuous relationships with other superpowers. Thanks, Bob. This raises another question. If the 25th Amendment was threatened but not invoked, why? Well, forget Joe. It would have been a disaster for Kamala. Given the problems with Russia, China, the Middle East, they couldn't let the country see her as president for 6 remaining months. But Woodward kept Biden's decline under wraps, which led to the coup, installing Kamala without a primary. And once you betray Americans in the most basic regard, it becomes that much easier to betray them in everything else. So if you're a Dem and you want to get mad at somebody, it's not Trump. It's Woodward and the rest of the media who covered for this charade. Bob could have saved you from all of this horrible fate, Dems, but that wouldn't have made the bestseller list. Pete, you've had a #1 bestseller, so you understand what I'm talking about.
It's true. I could have spoken out a lot earlier.
Yes, and you didn't. And shame on you.
Shame on me.
And your patriotic socks. But you know what's funny? It is like, this is always the case with like Woodward and other exposés. They hold on to the news that should have been released earlier because it's better for the book.
They could have held on to that Nixon news, too.
Yeah.
For a book.
Yes.
They just didn't seem to. They had to get it out right away.
Exactly.
Back old Bob. It almost seems like he's playing for one team here.
Yeah.
I mean, we know how that all works. I've said that for years. A lot of people have. Books will be written. This is the only first one. You're pointing the finger at Bob, and rightfully so, but there are dozens of Bobs. There's a Jill. Mm-hmm. There's everybody else in the White that knew exactly what was going down even before 2023.
Yeah.
They put their own political interests in front of the country. This is the first book. It will not be the last. We saw it all before our eyes. Imagine what was behind the scenes. These are probably the most tepid quotes he got. I bet it was worse.
Right.
I bet he got worse. This is just the most he could say to sell a book, to your point.
It's the dog that wasn't barking. Whether it's the state of Biden's brain, the coup that followed, and now we have these revelations. The media should be like saying, like, hold on a second. You know, where were the journalists then, Dave?
Greg, in 2019, Joe Biden told a story about a man he met named Corn Pop.
Yeah.
And he met this man at a pool while children were rubbing the hair on his legs.
Yes.
And he then said that that is how he learned about roaches.
Right.
That's when I had a clue. So...
All right, I got to ask you, so we haven't talked. It's like, what is it, 10 days now? 10 days?
10
What's
days.
your gut telling you?
I came on this program on the opening night of Gutfeld with an exclamation point. You were a little-known cable show guy.
Little known. Wow. And this is your last appearance.
Men's Fitness or something. And I came on this show, and Men's Health, and see, nobody knew. Nobody knew. And I predicted that you would be #1 in late night within 6 months. You did it in 3 months, and that is why tonight I will predict that 45 will be 47. Donald Trump.
Ah, yeah.
Whoa.
So, Kat, does it bother you when journalists hold stuff that we should, like, that meant that this country, and it still is, by the way, is run by somebody who isn't there.
Yeah. But also, I kind of, like you, had a bit of an idea myself, even without their journalism.
Yes.
You know? Whenever I saw him, 2023, that's way late to be realizing this. If you were to ever watched him ever, because 2022 was the oil cancer. Let's not forget.
Yes,
that's when
he got oil cancer.
He got out in public and said, "I have oil cancer," and so damn many of my friends have oil cancer too. And then the journalists covered it. They were like, right-wing media says Biden said he has cancer, and it's like, okay, well he did. And if you're saying that you have cancer and you don't have cancer, that's never okay.
No, it's not.
Also, that same year was the "Where's Jackie" thing. Looking out loud, very confused about why a person's not in the room who is dead. I mean, it's like the signs weren't there. That's why I read this stuff. I'm like, they're like, oh, in a meeting in 2023, a year past oil cancer, people saw him confused. Like, okay, this book. I mean, obviously it's very interesting to people, but for me, I'm like, duh. It was the most obvious thing in the world.
That would be a great review for the New York Times.
Duh.
Like by Kat Timpf, it'd just be duh.
Where have you been?
Yeah. But still demand payment for that review because it's worth it.
People are like, wow, this is really bad. And it was a whole year before the debate. It's like, there was years before. Like, guys, come on.
Yeah. What do you say, Tyrus?
Well, to be fair, he wasn't exactly Shakespeareing it up before in the Senate. You know,
that's true.
But again, when someone is leaving with the ghosts after they speak, you let them go. Yeah. I don't know how many times he was pulled from the light that we saw on TV when his invisible friend took his hand. Like, no, come with us, Joe. Come with us. And everyone's watching. And like, no, no, no. And they're like, the ghost's like, we're trying to help him.
Yes.
Come with us.
It's his uncle who was eaten by cannibals. The food is good here.
When October 7th happened, and the President of the United States response was don't.
Yeah.
You kind of know up. Don't. That's what we got. Don't. You know, like that's. And again, because Kat and I, we always live for prequels. We tried to find out where the word don't came from. Maybe it was a powerful word in the Biden family crest. You don't know. Like, in my family crest is my. Like, when you say that, when I say that, everyone in my family, oh, Tyrus is serious now. Don't was there. And it goes all the way back to his great uncle, to which you were talking about, who had the worst day a human being has ever had in his life. Yeah. He's fighting in the air against Nazis. He gets shot out, survives, lands in the ocean, swims through sharks and submarines, gets to an island. He picks the one island that eats people. That's a bad day. And before he can even say anything, he's grabbed by these natives, dragged, thrown in a pot. The water's boiling. They're cutting the potatoes and the carrots. And as they go to put the lid down, we heard the famous don't.
And might I add, don't go away. See what I did there? That's a pro. Kamala's chances slip. Mika's losing her grip. It's clear from Mika's Yelp that she needs medical help. Our video of the day comes to us from MSNBC, where Brzezinski's losing what's left of her mind. Roll it.
As important as Trump's fascism is, and is the lead story every day, his cozying up to dictators, his obsession with Hitler that has now come out, what he has said about our veterans, and what he wants to do with the military against his political adversaries. But this is what voters know right now, that he is killing us. I'm talking about us women. He's killing us. He is putting us at risk. He is making us afraid to have babies. He is putting our reproductive health at risk. So we can see right now what's coming. These headlines, and very good reporting, by the way, that shouldn't be questioned by idiots about what Trump has said about Hitler. That's incredibly important to know.
All right, just want to get this logic here. I'm afraid to have a baby because I can't abort it. Some sound logic there, lady. So Trump's Hitler, he's killing women, and anyone who questions the media are idiots. She stopped short of blaming Trump for marrying Joe. Now, would all these be legitimate concerns if we hadn't already enjoyed a Trump presidency and he didn't do any of that crap? And as far as good reporting goes, it was her husband who reported that this was the best Biden ever, right before Scranton Joe got sent to the glue factory. Speaking of, did Hitler go on Morning Joe as many times as Trump did? All that free publicity they could manage in 2016, and they'll never live it down, no matter how many veins pop out of Mika's Botoxed forehead. And yet, with all that evil doing, Trump's been behind. It's amazing he still covers his shift at Mickey D's. Dave, it's so funny. She, I think, admitted on a show last week or the week before that she's taking anger therapy. I don't think it's paying off.
Greg, as a woman myself, let me address this very serious lady. You know, it's so interesting what they're doing by calling him all of these things, because the more they call him these things, the more I think I am these things, right? Like, they're like, Trump's a fascist, and I'm like, I guess I'm a fascist.
Yeah.
And Trump's a dictator, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, they have so, well, since you use some choice language, they have so shot their load with all of this stuff that there's nothing left. They have basically 7-8 days to go completely bananas, and she can go more bananas.
Oh, sadly, I think you're wrong. I think it's going to be people going bananas way past 7 or 8 days.
Yeah.
I keep finding myself being like, honestly, I can't wait for the election to be over just so I can at least witness two people having a remotely normal conversation again, maybe. But then I realize that's not going to happen after the election.
No. And you know what?
It's not.
You're raising a very important question. What happens to these people if Trump wins? Like, have they thought this through? That, like, where do they go with this mentality?
Sadly, I think that actual real relationships among people are going to be destroyed. I think that to your question, if Trump wins, people who feel this way are going to be very angry at the people in their real life who voted for him, even if this is their grandma or their aunt or their spouse or their best friend. All of these years or decades or a lifetime of history with this person is not going to matter, because you're going to just completely make them all down to their little vote. That's everything I need to know about you. And real relationships are going to get destroyed over this. And it's like you're simping for a politician who you've never even met and doesn't give a about you. It's
well,
really
Greg,
kind of pathetic.
The secret, though, that the MSNBC people don't want you to know is they want Trump to win, right? That is ratings, that is clicks. I mean, Joy Behar she said, what did she say? Donald Trump's going to literally bring the Air Force in and blow up the View, which I'm for, frankly.
And the precedent has been set, because I've seen footage of whales being blown up on the beach. Terrible. Tyrus, it's like, Kat's got a great point. It's like, let's say you're the grandmother or you're the grandfather, and they go, yes, but he's going to kill women. How can you vote for somebody who's going to kill women?
Well, what I will do is I will get a little sign on my house. It'll be like, how many days without killing a woman? So it'll be like, Trump administration, 112 days without killing a... This is so... Speaking of fake orgasm, her fake outrage, I love the fact that you would think they'd be better.
Yeah.
At least have an example when they're saying this stuff. He's cozying up to dictators. I, for one, would like to know which dictators cuddle.
Yeah.
Is it Putin that's the cuddle guy?
Yeah.
I feel like it's more North Korea. He looks like he's into cuddling. Like, who exactly is cuddling up? Like, to be fair, like, I think if you have the deets, and I think Kat would support me on this, if there's a photo of him cuddling up with Putin and Gigi and him are just, when they're watching, I don't know if their favorite Christmas movie together, that might affect my vote. But they just have nothing.
No,
he's killing people. There's lightning coming out of their hairs. Men are peeing, standing up again. We can't have this. Like, it's a lot.
Men are peeing, standing up. Oh. The world is ending, Pete.
Well, they talk about killing women. Laken Riley comes to mind.
Right.
This is.
Yeah, she doesn't bring up Title IX or the crimes like Laken Riley. That's against women.
As always, they gaslight and project about the very things they've been guilty of. They'll be back on the border weeping. Wait for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to be in tears again on the border after the inhumane treatment of women and children at the border for the last 3.5 years. You know what I think? 2016 was such a surprise for the libs that I think someone like Mika is going to have to take the day off.
Yeah.
Remember the safe spaces and the therapy?
Yes.
At major corporations, at universities, and in newsrooms, there's going to be quiet places and safe spaces where Mika can go. Mm-hmm. And we'll put in a guest anchor for a couple of days. Yes. They're not going to be able to handle it. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. All right. Oh, we got more. Hillary's still a hater, rambling about a dictator. Hillary begs your pardon, 'cause Hitler's at the garden. Former First Lady, U.S. Senator, Secretary of State, and failed presidential candidate, and scorned spouse. Hillary Clinton actually said on CNN that Trump is channeling Hitler with his mega Madison Square Garden rally this Sunday. Roll it, Edna.
One other thing that you'll see next week, Caitlin, is Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939. I write about this in my book. President Franklin Roosevelt was appalled that neo-Nazis, fascists in America were lining up to essentially pledge their support for the kind of government that they were seeing in Germany. So I don't think we can ignore it.
I think we can. I mean, if appearing at Madison Square Garden means you're a white supremacist, someone should tell the New York Knicks. Does that make Billy Joel a Nazi? He's performed there 150 times. He wrote Uptown Girl about Christy Brinkley, not Ava Braun. By the way, you bag, that's not even the same Madison Square Garden. That building was in a different location and destroyed in the 60s, like Trump destroyed you in your 60s. My favorite part about this whole thing, Tyrus, is that she acts like this is her original point about the Madison Square Garden. She lifted it off after X. I think it was Oberman that had posted it.
Here's to CNN's credit. They did not ask that question.
Yeah.
She decided to insert the question. She asked herself a question about herself. Did you not see that? Thank you, Kate. Actually, that's a good question. Why is he Hitler? And I'll take it from here. Thank you. The reason why he's in Madison Square Garden, sweetness, is because New York's in play.
Yeah.
And and that's the real outrage. That's the real. He wouldn't be going here if his team did not think we actually got a shot. Mm. And he's not here for the Nazis. He's here for the American people.
But also, it's not just about New York is in play. It's about the popular vote. Mm-hmm. I mean, we never I live in New York. My vote doesn't normally matter, but it actually does now. If you think about the popular vote, you need to have a definitive boom, because if he gets the electoral count and they it's close or whatever, they're going to say this and say that, blah blah blah. What do you say, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think Donald Trump wants to like dunk on the libs like Michael Jordan did on John Starks in Madison Square Garden 25 years ago.
Is that sports?
That's the dribbling sport.
Okay.
The dribbling sport.
Because when he left the Jackson 5, he played basketball?
Something like that.
Got it.
Correct. I'm just astonished by everything you say, Greg.
I don't know if you were a paratrooper, but now's when you'd pull the cord.
Yeah. See ya. Yep, I defer my time to Mr. Rubin here.
Well, I'm going to the rally on Sunday.
You Nazi! That explains the haircut, you Nazi!
I did not know it was a Nazi rally. I'm going to have to talk to my assistant. This is nonsense. I actually, the last time I was at MSG, you already did a John Starks reference. It was Game 6, 1994 NBA Finals. That's basketball. And remember, Olajuwon's finger blocked Starks, and then they ended up losing the finals. Next game in Houston. All of that to be said, I don't think Donald Trump is a Nazi.
No. Good for you. It is, but it does, when she talks about this, it begs the question, what are you supposed to do? If somebody tells you that this person is Hitler or a Nazi, they're asking you to do more than vote. They're asking you to do something.
Time for you to do something about that.
Yeah.
That can't be tolerated.
Yeah.
Besides buy her book, which, by the way, she did so eloquently slide in there.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, Greg, I remember a couple of weeks ago when you invited me to that secret Nazi rally, and Trump wasn't even there.
I am so sorry, but you have to admit the kielbasa was amazing.
Oh. Delish.
Kat?
You know, it's like everyone's hitting her so hard. I'm going to try to think of something nice to say about Hillary. So I'm going to think. And the one thing I can say is, like, she's really, really, really committed to this bit. I don't think I've ever seen someone in the history of bits more committed to a bit than Hillary is to the Trump is Hitler bit. Like, she shoehorns it into every discussion. I've been in therapy on and off my whole life, right? And one of the things you learn about is like moving on from things and letting go of anger because it hurts yourself and blah, 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 blah. Not Hillary. I mean, it's been almost a decade at this point, and she's like,
Do you think that Mika and Hillary share the same therapist?
And I'm not saying I'm perfect. Like, there's things that I'm still upset about from whatever that I am working on. But man, I'm working on it. She's committed to the bit.
Yeah.
Mika and Hillary, unfortunately, cannot be unburdened by what has been.
Yes. All right. Time to move on. What tech will you miss most when your life is toast? Kurt Cobain never had GPS. So Tyrus, during a recent interview, famed British actress Helen Mirren says she feels very sad that Kurt Cobain died at such a young age because he never got to experience GPS. She says it's completely magical. Is she got a point?
Yeah, that whatever drugs she took before that, allow at least 5 to 6 months before you speak to the public. Here's the deal. This is why when a celebrity comes out and endorses someone, I will refer you to this statement. Of all the things that he probably would have wanted to see, I don't know, a child growing up or growing old or getting a check for his music, the one thing that his entire family wishes he could have got the wrong directions from a computer voice.
Kat, she does have a point. I mean, Jimi Hendrix would never have enjoyed any of the Gilmore Girls seasons. Jim Morrison will never have enjoyed Lunchables.
Gilmore Girls is my least favorite sound.
Yeah.
It's horrible. But I know it's GPS. I don't think. What's so wrong with saying that he would have enjoyed GPS? GPS is awesome. If it weren't for GPS, I'd be dead many times over. I think he also probably would have really loved Zen.
Yeah. Yeah, he would have. Yeah,
maybe.
Maybe. That's
Right?
true.
Like, what's so wrong with saying? Of course, doesn't mean they wouldn't have enjoyed other stuff too.
But it is. You know what it is?
But it's a funny thing to think about.
Well, no. This is what. Okay, so goes to a larger question, Rubin. So a lot of these Silicon Valley tech bros, they want to keep living so that they can live in a time where something's discovered that lengthens your life even longer. And theoretically, you could keep going and keep going. So imagine if in 2025, you die at 85, and then they discover a drug in 2060 that enables you to live to age 300. That's basically describing the Middle Ages. All of these people in the Middle Ages missed out on all the stuff that could have made them live longer.
Greg, I was told there would be no math. Look, I guess what Cobain would miss most is the fact that Donald Trump's gonna be Hitler president starting next week. Yeah, I don't know what you said, but I'm happy to discuss that off air if you want.
If Cobain was alive, I can safely say he would be in the Trump camp.
You think so?
Yeah. I have no evidence.
You know, I'm just spitballing here, but the more I think about it, you know what else he probably would have liked instead of GPS?
What?
A hint.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, we still believe it was an... Okay. All right.
All right. Is there anything that you wish you could be alive for?
Well, I know what you want to be alive for.
What?
I feel like your AI predictions are coming true before our eyes.
Yes, thank you.
The question is, will they come true before they turn on us?
Yes.
Because that has been your prediction. And we're getting closer to autonomy. We're not there. You're getting older.
Wait.
I don't know how many years you have.
Wait, Greg's prediction is that the robots are going to turn on us? That's
100%.
Greg Gutfeld's prediction?
Yes,
the prediction that's been made in every sci-fi book in the history? Whoa, Greg Gutfeld,
Well,
Skynet's going to turn on. Whoa.
There's a caveat. He's working with them. He's going to help them. He's
what do you
I
call
would
that?
love to hear what Kurt Cobain thought about JoJo Siwa.
Think about James Dean. He never got to enjoy Geraldo's mustache.
Yep.
How many more pages of these do you have?
I made a list of people that died young and the things they would miss, and nothing is as good as Lunchables. Look, it comes in a little package. Crackers, cheese. It's so easy. Doesn't make a mess.
Those were around in the 90s.
Yeah, but Mama Cass died in the 70s.
Oh, that was quick.
Choking on a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
I think that's the way she wanted to go.
Yes, that is true.